The first vital paddle principle is that after you serve, you must take the net position. Anyone that doesn't do this is not a proper paddle player in my eyes. You're a beginner if you don't know that basic tactic. The serve is a free opportunity to take the net position, and if you don't do it, the opponent will hit the ball straight back to you and take the net themselves. Paddle is all about trying to get that net position. So if you aren't serving and then running directly to that net position, then good luck to you. The second vital paddle principle is that when returning serve, I need you to stand slightly closer to the glass. That is because majority of players will serve to the glass and it's very tricky to receive a ball off that side wall, but also because the angle, because they're coming diagonal, if you stand directly in the middle, you're actually making it harder for yourself to cover it when it goes diagonal. I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, oh, well, if I stand near the glass, they're just gonna go down the middle. But because of the angle, you won't have to move as much and it's very hard for them to get it straight down the line. It will probably go near down the line, but it will come at a slight angle towards you, so it's easier for you to pick up. The third paddle principle is to try and get your first volley in and your first return in. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking,
well, obviously I want to try and get every single ball in.
I understand that, but the shots that you're most likely to miss is the first volley and the first return. Have you ever wondered why there's rallies that go on for 50 shots, 60 shots, constantly, everyone's running around, and then the next rally, someone just dumps it in the net straight away? It's all about lack of focus. If you're that one player in the court that really focuses on first volley, first return, you'll notice a massive difference in the amount of mistakes you're making. The fourth principle is to stand between the white line and the back glass when defending. If you're any further forward than this, then you'll enter no man's land, which is a horrible place to be. You're basically dead if you enter that area. And if you're too far back, then it'll be very easy for people to play drop shots or play it short and you won't reach it in time. And also you'll struggle a lot more defending off the glass if you're too close to the wall. The fifth principle is to mirror your partner. This isn't tennis, this isn't some other racket sport you've played where, you know, one goes back, one goes forward, or one covers behind. You've got to stay in sync with your partner. So if they move to the net, you're at the net with them. If they're at the back, you're at the back with them as well. Now, I know there are some exceptions, but for the most part, if you mirror your partner, you're going to have a lot of success on court. Those are the first 5 principles of my 25 vital paddle principle. Basically, this list is about the crucial things that every player must do if they want to improve and want to become a successful paddle player. If you found any of those useful, drop a like on the video and remember to subscribe. Let's move on to number 6. Number 6, if you hit the ball past the white line, take the net position. It is the easiest way to remember this. That could be a lob or it could be a passing shot, but if you hit the ball and it goes past that white line on the other end of the court, take the net position. The 7th principle is that when you're moving back, remember to sidestep and don't run or back pedal. Sidestepping is the best way to move back effectively. You can keep your eyes on the ball, but also you can keep your balance and your positioning correct. When you're defending, I want you to try and lob 50% of the time. This is a great starting point to make sure that you're lobbing a lot more than most players actually do when they first start. Most players try and play loads of ground strokes, they hit the ball really hard at the back. The best shot when defending is a big lob. Studies found in the World Padel Tour that in the defensive position, players were lobbing a minimum of 25% at the time. The 9th principle is to half the power in all of your shots. That is the volley, the overhead, the ground strokes, your serve, the lobs, everything, half the power to 50%. That'll help massively with your consistency and it will teach you to play soft. The 10th principle is to make sure your racket is prepared up at the net position. If it's not, then you're going to have a later reaction and you won't get your technique absolutely perfect. Get the racket up ready and you'll find your reactions are much faster and your shots are more effective. This leads me on to the 11th principle, which is to have the racket lower down, not up here, but lower down, just so that you can defend better. When we defend, we prepare low. When we attack, we prepare high, for the most part. The 12th principle is to tiptoe around the white line when you play a lob. When you lob, you should tiptoe forward a little bit, not all the way, so that if they do smash, or if it's a full-on lob, you can take the net quicker and move forward for a smash. But if they then play like a bandeka or a slow shot, you can move back easily. But you've got to tiptoe, and when I say tiptoe, I mean be on the toes around that white line. The 13th paddle principle is to chop the ball down the middle when you get an easy ball that bounces. This is one of my main rules that I always taught when I was coaching, is anytime you get a ball that bounces on your side near the net position, I want you to chop it down the middle. And that is because I saw so many players getting this easy ball and not really knowing what to do with it. They try a drop shot, they put it into the cage. You could tell they weren't really sure. The best thing to do, chop down the middle, keeps it really low, keeps the opponents back, and a lot of people will struggle to return it. The 14th paddle principle is to use the fridge tactic when you're playing. That is basically putting your opponents in the fridge. You're gonna freeze them out, and basically that just means don't hit to them. Target one player. This has a number of benefits, for example, making both of them either angry or a bit nervous because they're getting targeted. Makes the other player quite frustrated. All round more likely that you're gonna win if you're playing to a weaker player. Maybe don't do this in really casual matches, but more competitive matches, 100% do it. The 15th principle is to use chiquitas to take the net position. This is one of the few other ways to take the net rather than just hitting past the white line. The chiquita is a short shot that is going to dip at the opponent's feet so that they can only hit up, and that means you have a high chance of being able to attack the ball and move to the net position and take that great attacking position off them. The 16th principle is to mix up the speed of your shots. I always say change the pace. Keeps the opponents guessing. The opponents will get comfortable after a while. You're hitting hard the whole time. The first 3 or 4 might be really effective, and then your brain will be like, oh, this works. And then halfway through the match, you keep hitting hard, you miss a few, and the opponents start getting them back. They start learning, they start getting more confident. If you hit hard all the time, you become predictable, and people won't be scared of your big smash. Better players will be able to deal with it. You've gotta mix up the pace. This leads me on perfectly to the 17th principle, is mix up where you're playing the shot. So I always say change the pace, but change the place. Humans are pattern recognizers. They will pick up where you're playing the shots and learn in a habit way of moving to that area. So if you're always playing down the middle, naturally, when you get that next volley, the opponent, without even thinking, will move slightly towards the middle. They've learned that's where they need to go. So a good way of doing this is maybe play 3 down the middle and then go into the corner on the next one. The 18th principle is to use disguise to trick opponents. When it gets to a high level, the rallies go on longer and longer and longer because most people get comfortable with returning almost every type of ball. That is where disguise comes into play. Pretending you're going to one area and then going to another place, or not showing your opponent what you're about to do, faking a shot and then doing something else. That is how you get winners. You have to use disguise. The 19th principle is to avoid topspin and instead use more slice. If you use topspin all the time, I look at you and think you're a beginner or a new player that doesn't really know what they're doing. For the most part, topspin is like the paddle's enemy. People playing big topspin ground strokes, yeah, you might do a great passing shot pass on, but it's just going to ping up off that back glass and become easy to return. Slice is better because it keeps the opponents back and it makes them have to defend harder. The 20th principle is don't try and win the point on ground strokes. A lot of tennis players do this, even squash players do it as well. They get the ball at the back of the court and they try and blast it past someone who's at the net position. Now, this might work at beginner level, maybe even early intermediate, but as soon as you go past that, you can't get winners past people just by passing them. The best way to win the point is at the net position. This leads me perfectly onto the 21st principle, which is do not try and win the point off the serve either. The serve, again, isn't a shot to try and win the point. It's a serve to set you up perfectly for the net position. You're not meant to play it too slow, you're not meant to play it too fast either, and you're not trying to get this ridiculous amount of spin. You're just trying to put the opponent under a lot of pressure so it's tricky to return, so that when you get to the net position, in principle 1, then you have an easy opportunity to win the point from a volley or an overhead. The 22nd principle is to only smash when you need to. The smash is overrated. Now, people that know me watching this will probably think I'm only saying this because my smash isn't very good. Because people watch a lot of the World Padel Tour and they see LeBron and Galan smashing all the time and it's amazing. However, unless your smash is that good, which fair enough, then do it all the time. But if it's not, then you should be focusing on playing bandejas, overheads, softer shots with more accuracy. If your smash isn't perfect, it's very easy for your opponents to win the point. You even see it in the World Padel Tour. If LeBron's smash isn't perfect, the opponent 9 times out of 10 will win the point straight away by popping it out the other side or playing a winner in the corner. The 23rd paddle principle is to use the continental grip. At an advanced level, you can change your grip around slightly for different shots, but for the most part, continental grip allows you to play a variety of shots with good technique, and it sets you up for your forehand volley, backhand volley, your smash, your bandeja. It kind of works for everything. The 24th paddle principle is to not play tennis on the court. It's very easy to get in a tennis battle with someone because they're a tennis player. For example, if you're ever in a situation where both you and your opponent are at the back of the court hitting to each other, you need to stop that right away. One of you should be at the net position. If there's a second where your opponent is at the back of the court, you go straight to the net and you don't stand at the back and play big ground strokes to each other off the wall. That's tennis. This is paddle. The final Paddle principle is to not ball watch. Really think about it. When you're playing a game, how many times are you watching the ball, looking at what your partner is doing rather than staring at where the opponents are? Where are the gaps? Are they taking the net? Are they staying back? So this is all information that you should be looking at. So one, you're ready, but also you can relay this information to your own partner, and then you'll be able to make the best decision based on that. I just filmed all that in -5 temperature. If you found that useful, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. If you disagreed with any of the tips, let me know. But these, for me, are the most important things you have to do. Thanks for watching.